G'day, g'day, g'day. It's the MathematicalKM here. Remember, their initials, not a title. Keith Malumbi. We went up a little bit now that we've ticked over in the month. They were now rated 1450, so yay for me. However, playing Zheng, who is weighing in at nearly 1700 tonight. And after the game, Zheng asked me, a bit of a fan maybe, I hope he's subscribed. First question after the game was if he was going to feature on the YouTube channel, and yep, you are. And as I said, as you've seen from the thumbnail, Broken Hippo never really got started, to the tune of that song Broken Heart never got started, which I might put a link in the description for those too young to know that particular hit rock song back in the 80s. Okay, and again, yep, he discombobulated me so early that the hippo didn't take its usual form. Vikings weekend, a whole weekend tournament coming soon. It's perhaps good to hit something like this beforehand. So let's take a look. It's going to be a little bit quite an interesting one tonight. So far, so much for just jumping 10 moves in and looking at the advantage I have on the clock. No. 2 move, let's just... In Solomon Riddell's course, the chapter that applies is the hippo defense versus the early steamroll with just 2 pawns. And even with that, I can be at least a little bit forgiven because of the way that Zheng's gone about this. Now, here we go. Conflicting idioms, conflicting rules in the whole hippo system / tool bag. In general, bishop comes here, we go here. Bishop comes here, we go here. Now that is because if there is a knight on f3 and the bishop takes and we take with the king, that knight can have a lot of fun with our king. It can go quite badly. So our normal move, and it's a move we should play, is in fact d6. That's the normal 1, 2, 3 and 4 or 4 with the knight. And it's not what was played, but it's the book move. And we ignored the danger, bishop here, play the e-pawn to stop, which is now a blunder, minus 2.34. And there's no knight following up with checks and coming in and potentially capturing our queen, all sorts of badness that can happen. So what I should have done, and will do in future ones here, is not react to the bishop and play the e6 pawn forward, which is what I did play. I've played e6 forward. But in general terms, this is just going through Solomon's course. Let's go through. In the course, with the 2 pawn trying to overwhelm you at the start, you've always played d6. Let's remember that tonight I didn't, but I'll just quickly show you. If we play d6 and they come forward with an early e6, we take, they take, we take, he loses his right to castle, and you can see plus 1.4 to black. Nice. It's not going to be a standard hippo, but our king can still castle, development's not bad, his king is the one that's stuck in the centre. So that's if the e-pawn comes forward. If he tries to advance rapidly with the d pawn, and Solomon says this is a better move for white, then the thing for us to play is e5. It's not really there. No, I guess in all of Solomon's ones, they don't have the bishop there. They've got a knight here. But c6 is attacking that chain from the outside. Knight to f6 is attacking that one. And if they come forward, we can attack it. So knight f6 and a6 is just stopping the prophylaxis of the check there. But in the main, without that bishop being there, let's have a quick look and see if this works. Solomon's main move, remembering there was no bishop, there was in fact a knight there instead, is pawn forward. I do end up with a pawn there, but it's taking me 2 tempos to get it there in the game. So this is where I've gone quite a bit wrong. And it's not on their moves. They've got knights to c3. It's just continuing the development. And you're actually into quite a normal hippo. But they do have the chance en passant, and you can take with the bishop or the pawn, and Solomon recommends the bishop, and they don't have this in his lines because they don't have a bishop there, but it looks like it is their best move, is bishop takes, and then of course we've got, now in terms of development, if it had looked like this, I'd say black is better developed than white, and we've lost a flank pawn for a central pawn. This is not too bad for black. It's called 0.05, but this is looking quite okay. Let's just throw in knight f3. And then for black, what are we looking at? Jumping away from the standard hippo, because it just is away from the hippo, but knight f6. e5 does look good for them from there. We go d takes. And now it's us that can't castle. They collect the pawn. King c8, we're going to manually castle, no doubt. And the game goes on, but again, not that discombobulated. So, in some ways, I apologise for showing you 2 ways it could have gone. And in fact, with the d pawn coming forward with the bishop behind it, instead of Solomon's line of the e pawn forward is if they've got a knight here. What's the computer say for if instead they've got a bishop backing up the pawn? It's a bit more like a check perk, a c6. This is putting this one in the memory bank, I think. c6 is best. They play a4. What does it want for us? Throw in a check. The game goes on. If not the check, knight to f6. That was a recurring theme. Threatening those. If it comes forward, you can take with the pawn. Let's go knight f6. Knight to c3. We take. They take. developing pieces, and I'm guessing that in the near future, you can see it there, both castling kingside away from all the madness. Okay, so let's go back and show you there are all the ways things could have gone right. But let's watch the broken hippo not getting started. So here we go. And this is all coming, or at least to a large extent, from the truism that was not true in this case of react to that bishop with that pawn. Because now this is different from in all of the Solomon ones against the two-pawn storm in the middle, overwhelm. We had a pawn on d6. Now we don't. And 0.00, if I do react that way, it's looking a lot like, we'll just continue with the what ifs and then we'll get into the game. The best thing I could have done is just take, and then taking with the pawn. And then a knight threatening. And it may be more similar to a King's Indian than a hippo, but the game goes on with castling, both sides castling kingside. Like me castling now. And we're into a normal game with nobody's uncastled king being attacked in the centre. So it was in the 83 odd games you'll find in my YouTube channel. This is the first time the two-pawn overwhelm has been tried, and with a degree of success. Let's see, what did I play? I played it forward. Still pretty even. He brings a knight out. And again, it's a big, the biggest edge to black is just take. And if not that, then leaving the hippo with knight f6. The only actual hippo move that they've got is a6. And it was a mistake giving white what he wanted, putting that pawn forward. Putting a pawn forward creates a target, I guess, to an extent. He's castled. I really should be looking at getting king safety and castling myself, and you can see that, well, actually, knight e7 is one of the best moves, and knight d7 is another one, madly developing, and a5 is in there as well, but just prophylaxis on that square, but it's a little too slow, and it's not. These two are both backing up that pawn push, which is played. It's given as a mistake, and the best thing I can do, and this is a recurring theme, is if they're in your face that quickly, you're not going to get that whole hippo set up and look at the best way of leaving it on the reasonable terms. And even here, it's just take the pawn, and it's minus 0.15. So just take the pawn. I've instead gone with the miss. It's plus nearly 1 to white. Get rid of the knight, which was, a big part of what was happening to me here. So I thought that was reasonably well planned out. It's only 0.3. That was a mistake. And again, and maybe this will be the title for the video, if not Broken Hippo Didn't Get Started. It's just take the pawn. Just take it. Have equal material, and then try and get your king out of the way. Right, I didn't. I've thrown a pawn forward. His best move, and it's called great, is taking that one, because apart from anything else, and this might be a big part of why it's kind of a tactic, is now my e-pawn can't take his f-pawn anymore. So the best move is queen f6 and played. And that's so if he takes that, I've got 2 pieces on that. And the queen itself is able to take that f-pawn and getting developed. Okay, so he's taken there. And I can see, like, castling, even though it's kind of crazy with only 1 pawn in front, but with a few pieces there, castling and getting a rook behind the queen, looking at his rook, makes a degree of sense. And getting a knight ready to try and get that pawn back, and if not that pawn, then that pawn if it comes forward. You can see knight e7 looks good, but I've just gone with the queen. It's still excellent, but I'm down plus 3.62. I mean, it's only 1 point of material, but I was on the back foot and I could feel it, and you can see it in that analysis. Plus 4.1 to white with only 1 point of material. Develop. A6 was excellent because both the knight and the bishop could come in here, and let's try and get some protection over there and try and get the king over there. It's all I'm hoping for at this point. He's brought his knight in. Develop this knight. It's got an outpost there. Should it happen? I mean, yeah, they could end up taking each other. It can also see the other square that knight could come in. And if the knight comes in here, I mean, there's a pawn there now, but this knight is really well looking at where white's knight can go in. Also, if he doesn't act now, then castling queenside is probably on the cards. Even though he could sack a bishop to get his queen in there, and that could be pretty bad. He moves the bishop back. And act now. Sure, I could castle now. But check this for a tactic. And I spotted it and didn't let it happen, fortunately. If my king was here, he could take the pawn with check. Sure, I can take the knight, but the bishop wins the queen. So, he really has stopped me from castling. And strangely, I've got to look at this just quickly, guys, if you don't mind a little bit of an explore. Apparently the best thing I could do is castle that way. Surely he's going to go knight times d6 check. But no, knight to g5? I'm sure if he did it, put that there for that reason. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's not as bad as I thought. Queen takes it. Okay, so I talked myself out of castling, and castling was best, and I really did want king safety. And that's looking that little bit deeper that I do need to... You can see the check. Thought about the pawn taking, didn't realise the queen could get out of dodge and fix the immediate problem. Well, that's seeing that little bit deeper that I need to also work on. But I just moved the queen out. It's not that much different from the castling queenside in terms of eval. He takes a pawn. I take a pawn. Check. And I can't block with the queen. It's not even a queen trade. There's a rook. Queen to d8 is plus 4. The next one's plus 8.5 and then plus 21. So only one good move in the position. And I found it. Check again. This time best is blocking with a knight. Found it. So getting some of the best moves in here. He takes the pawn. Take. He moves his knight back, threatening the queen. Queen d4. And I can see it now with hindsight. This is another one. The material, he's only up the one pawn, and I do have that pawn in the middle may have ended up being an advantage. And you're going to see what does happen, and it's not the queen's coming off. But I believe with the queen coming forward as check and being lined up on his queen, he's either got to take them off immediately and end up with another check, or block with the queen, and then I can get the queens off there and the rook comes forward. But the queens will come off, and I think that would be to my advantage. And that would be queen, and it's only plus 2.3, so that's moving towards. It's a reduction. Unfortunately, I gave a different check that didn't force the queens off. +4 instead of +2. There you go. Moves the king. Hard to get at in there. I destroyed his pawn structure to a point. And so I've caught up a little on the material that's currently threatening the rook. He's found the best move. It's not actually the best move, but moving the bishop certainly is. And that means I can't take the rook I was lined up on. Got the knights developed out there. This one can't move, it's pinned. He's threatening the pawn. King d7, doing protection duty, and now both knights can move. Also, it protects this rook. So I'm having to find defensive resources all the way through. Now he's got two pieces on that knight. I've only got the king. Rook a to e8. Played. Okay, so threatening the b pawn. Just the simplest. b5 is the best reply. Played. He's pulled his queen all the way back there. He's trying to come in here and start checking with his queen. Just ignoring that and getting rid of a bishop with a knight is best. Queen to c5. Stops the queen infiltrating, offers the queen trade, which would fix my pawn structure as well. You can see that. Or queen to c6. That one's more interesting because I can't see how it stops the check. I can see how it lets me getting my queen on this diagonal, if I can achieve it, will allow that surprise check. And so it's inaccuracy. It stopped the queen coming in, but it would have been better there. I thought taking that bishop is still the best thing to do. Probably woulda, shoulda, coulda, didn't with that. I've now got two pieces on there. He's got three. The bishop's the only one that can take it and make a check. Anything else, and I can get my little plan. He took with a pawn. That was best, and it's down to plus 2.9. He's gone there. And interesting, and I can kind of see it. Knight to f3, where he would probably take it. He wouldn't take it with the queen, he'd have to take it with the pawn, freeing up the rook to then try and get the other rook behind it. Much better plan. But I've been on the back foot all this time. The other thing, rook for the bishop. He'd take back, and then I'd get a bishop and a pawn and a knight threatening the queen. Kind of see that. Or just coming in initially with the knight taking that, threatening the queen. So he's not going to get my rook immediately because he's got to move his queen. All better options than not such a good option. I was thinking hope chess. I mean, forget the moving the bishop there, which is a brilliant move, which is both check and onto the rook. But if that was still back there, if he'd taken it with the pawn, I could take it with the rook, and then the queen is looking at coming in. Yeah. Hope chess is what I've fallen into toward the end of this very tactical game. You put it down to it's very tactical, and I didn't... even when I did finally get that chance to castle queenside, I didn't. Move the king across. Check. Cashing in, as he is wise to do. Check. Check. When you're that much material up, having all the material come off just makes it a foregone. And I've shaken his hand. Well done, Zheng. And very well played, Zheng, in the tactical duel. You won that nicely. 85 to 76. 2250 to 1950. 87 to 86, so quite close in the opening. But the biggest thing out of this game was some lessons for me about... let's go back. Number one, to stay in my lane of how to deal with the E and D pawn pushes, ignoring the rule of when the bishop comes there that you've got to play the E pawn. No. If no knights out there, you still play the D pawn, and then you've got the lines that we have learnt and know and love from the Solomon's Hippo course. But way to go discombobulating me right at word go. Well done, Zheng. And yeah, subscribe and like, and everybody else out there too. Anybody who's watched this whole video till now. Anyway, lots of little hippo theory and a definite change and add to my methodology playing the hippo in the year of the water horse.